Okay, Peter, you have always made records, going all the way back to Humble Pie days, Frampton's Camel, and of course your celebrated solo albums for a single record company. And now, after all those years, you're on another label, you're on Atlantic Records. And I'm wondering whether that kind of gives an artist a psychological lift, kind of like when people move into a new house.
Well, I think that not only being with a new record label, taking some time off and sorting everything out, it's great because everything is new. There's new record label who seem very excited, which is obviously pleasing. New management, Tony Smith. Let's see, what else? I've got new publishing companies and new guitars, everything, so everything's brand new. And it's sort of like starting again for me, and that's the way I'm looking at it. And I took a long time preparing everything, because everything is new once again.
Well, upon first listening to the new album, to Premonition, the first thing that struck me, at any rate, was how incredibly rhythmic the album is. I'm especially talking about drums and the keyboards and synthesizers.
Right.
I mean, it's real rock and roll for the 80s. And I was wondering whether that was purposeful when you set out to do the record, whether you wanted to get a real rhythmic, almost danceable rock and roll record, or if it's something that just happened in the studio.
What happened was that with having my own studio that we're sitting in right now, and the advent of drum machines and things like that do aid you in writing, you can set up your own rhythms, which might not be necessarily what a drummer would play. And you can write the song with this incredible rhythm, and then you can simplify it later. So some of the rhythms I just put down to sort of turn me on to write, as it were. I think that when it comes to the songs themselves, I went through a period of thinking where I felt that possibly I should be writing more contemporary, and various people in the business said, well, you shouldn't write like Peter Frampton, it's not that time right now, which obviously was awesome to me, and created a writer's block. So that one day I realized that when I'd finally got an outlet once again for all my new stuff, with the new team around me, I suddenly sat down with the old acoustic again and wrote what I usually do, which is what comes naturally. And then what you can do, it doesn't really matter. A good song is a good song is a good song. And you can mess it up, but the way to do it is to just do it with today's technology.
I think you might have also, in describing how the music came to be so rhythmic as it is, also might have answered a question that a lot of your fans have had. What happened there in the late 70s and early 80s? And you just kind of said that there was a lot of pressure brought upon you by others to do what you weren't feeling as an artist to do, kind of like if somebody said to Picasso, don't paint blues this year. Blues are not in. Everybody's into oranges, so make your paintings orange.
I agree with you. I think that the problem stemmed from the fact that, on reflection, I became a professional musician when I was 16, which was 1966, and had been in bands since I was 10, And really, if you think about it, I went straight from the Herd into Humble Pie, into my solo thing, and then the live album. That sounds very quick, what I've just been through, but it was a long, we're talking 15 years. And when the live album hit, I'd been working non-stop, 6-9 months touring a year. And when the live album came out, it sort of doubled. And I think that what I didn't realize at that point was that you could just turn on the creative juices, and there was pressure for, okay, the follow-up, and then a next one and a next one. And I think that what a lot of people, what people should do, that I've realized after having a hit that big, which set a precedent as far as live albums anyway, is that you have to stop and take time out to go right back and take your time to look at new ways of writing and all that. I never took time off. I went, because of the pressure of, and shall we say greed, of not myself as much as people around me. No one thought of Peter the person. And it was very difficult to say no to all the things that went on there, because you waited all your life for this moment. And what I should have done right then is what I've done over the last 2.5, 3 years, which is to sit back and take stock. And during that period, I got married and I have a baby, and that changes you a lot too. It's something that should have been done in 1977, which took me to now to realize that I had to do it, because you can't keep tapping the same well. You've got to wait for it to rain, you know?
Yeah, one thing a lot of people maybe who are rock and roll fans don't understand is that when somebody becomes as enormously successful as you became, you become a kind of a money-generating machine. So the pressure, I guess, could be just tremendous to, like, keep doing something to keep generating all those bucks.
I love to perform live. I mean, the people that were running the show at that point knew that. And I think that instead of thinking, well, can he manage another month of touring, they said, yes, he can manage another, rather than thinking of my career in the long term, which, being totally in a sort of almost fantasy world at that point and loving every minute of the newfound adulation, I couldn't even see the wood for the trees at that point. So I think that knowing that I am a live person and I live for that, it was taken advantage of.
Let's get back to the album again, to Premonition. There's the great Frampton guitar, and it seems to me like, and maybe this goes along with what you're saying right now about really doing your music as opposed to what other people are telling you to do, but it seems to me that you really dug in on this one. Maybe you could, I mean, were you feeling that comfortable and unpressured in the studio, given the significance that this album is in your career?
I'm always pressured in the studio. It's not my first love, but I know that I have to do it. No, I think that along the way, when you're touring 9 months of the year and you get off the road, you don't want to look at a guitar. And this is obviously wrong. And not working for a long time, I had got out of the habit of practicing. So over the last 2 to 3 years, I would set aside time each day, not for my Nautilus, but for my guitar playing. I practiced a lot. I mean, I felt like I was 16 again, and I would come up with new licks every day and feel really good about myself. And then I managed to strike up a very dear friendship with Steve Morse, who has just released a new album. He was with the Dixie Dregs, but some people put us together to write a song for his album, and is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the finest guitarists in America, at least. And he was became my mentor, as far as, because I saw how much he practices, and as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't need to, you know, but you always need to practice. And we'd get up in the morning and we'd go and do 45 minutes of just jamming together, and I'd catch about the last 4 notes that he played, you know. You have to keep playing, you have to keep practicing, you have to write every day like an author, and that's what I try to do now.
Or you get rusty.
Absolutely. And by the time I went into the studio, I felt very, very confident in my guitar playing, and most of them are first takes. If I can do it in the first or second take, when I don't think about what I'm playing at all, which I know is a different way to a lot of people, but if it can just come from here, then it usually turns out to be a very emotional and satisfying solo.